Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. I made a terrible mistake with my position in Marathon Patent. When I started covering these stocks, I made a promise and a commitment that I would be always open and honest with my successes as well as my failures. Well, I have a failure to confess in my position regarding Marathon Patent. Before I get into that, I wanted to address some of the responses that I received after posting my last video. I suspected I might ruffle some feathers for posting a video like that. Just like I mentioned, early adopters in this space tend to be very loyal to their positions, to a point that I think puts them at risk. You need to be able to objectively look at all evidence, especially if it contradicts your current understanding. Prior to my research, I was very bullish on Riot, and I think my videos thus far make that pretty clear. But with the information available to me so far, I am no longer comfortable with the apparent risk profile present in Riot. Now, I failed to acknowledge something else, that there is another possible outcome of the Riot and Coinmint agreement. Is it theoretically possible that the mysterious buyer that the one owner speaks about could have been Riot itself?
We've lined up a deal not only to resolve the current situation, but to bring the facility to its full capacity.
With the money that they recently raised from their at-the-market offering, they could be in a position to make a deal like that. But there are some flaws in that theory. Prior Leary is the owner that made the claim that there was another buyer who was willing to purchase the company for an $80 million valuation. Could this company have been Riot? I would say likely not, since this article was published in February of 2020, and by this time, Leary had already been shut out of the day-to-day operations of the company after his partner, Ashton Sonyet, moved the company's headquarters to Puerto Rico and shut him out. Riot did not sign their agreement with Coinmint until April 14th of 2020, and besides, Ashton Sonyet denies that any such deal exists, and he is the one who executed the agreement between Riot and Coinmint in the first place. Not to mention, the first report on this was CoinDesk, and in that article they reported that the apparent offers were by private equity funds. But hey, that doesn't mean that Riot couldn't still use the funds they've raised and make a deal like that today. And that sounds great, but there are some other complications. Coinmint doesn't own these facilities either.
Prior Leary, he's a blockchain entrepreneur who co-founded the company that now rents the space, Coinmint.
So what exactly would Riot be purchasing? Coinmint acts as a third-party provider to outside clients. This would force Riot into mining services contracts for outside users. This is a business model that they may not be prepared to enter into. I would imagine that what they really want is to take over the lease that Coinmint currently occupies. It would be better if they could purchase the facilities outright, but I think you can see how this is not so straightforward, and without inside information, it's impossible to know what might happen next. Like I said last time, there is a chance that all of this works out, but it is a risk that you have to acknowledge and take. A risk that is not necessarily present with some other opportunities that you have available to you. This is why my argument is not that Riot is necessarily doomed. It's merely a question of risk management. With other alternatives in the space, I would choose to place my bets elsewhere, at least until Riot has further clarity. Which brings me to my mistake. I faced some criticism saying that I was just trying to manipulate investors to pump my own bags in Mara. Well, I exited that position on Thursday last week, a day before I even posted that video. Why did I do that? Well, I took a chance that Bitcoin was going to confirm the breakout of the upward trend line that it had been in for the last 3 months. This point also coincided with the 21-day moving average, which also broke. I anticipated that this would confirm a downtrend that would bring Bitcoin back down to its higher moving averages, potentially even down to the 100-day moving average, as it so often does during bull markets. I took a big gamble, which, as of the time I'm recording this, appears to have been a big error on my part. During Monday trading, I did manage to participate in the rally, but I was left out of the weekend jump. I really should have kept some skin in the game, but I was willing to gamble on my theory, which turned out to be incorrect, at least so far. Who knows what will happen to Bitcoin next, but for now, it seems that Bitcoin is not ready to relinquish its claim on $20,000. So now I'm left with the stress of trying to find a re-entry point while still maintaining the same number of shares I had before. Now, it isn't so bad. I only need to catch a 50 or 60 cent swing in order to recover those shares. I'm a big enough man to admit when I get it wrong. I only hope that the viewers of this channel can appreciate the transparentness of my motivations. Let this serve as a warning to my fellow traders. You have to be able to admit when you get it wrong, and it will happen. I take solace in the fact that I have come a long way and I have very few regrets about how it's worked out thus far. Just because I share something negative about a company does not mean that I wish it to fail. I don't short stocks. I never have, probably never will. Certainly not a stock that's investing in blockchain technology. That's just asking for pain. It is simply me sharing my findings with you so that you can do your own research and come to your own conclusions. The fact that I have money on the line only means that I've got skin in the game too, and I'm always transparent about those positions. Besides, I hardly think that a new channel with less than 1,000 subscribers is going to have any impact on these price markets. Who knows? In the future, I may need to be cognizant of these things, but I will continue to dig deep and I will bring you whatever information that I find so that you can make your own decisions for your own investment strategy, even if that information goes against my own current convictions. So if you want to come along for the ride, then hit that subscribe button and help me build this empire by giving that like button just a little tap. I'll see you in the next one. Now let's get back to empire building. Bye.